Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. And I know it's been a while since our last video, but I've just been dealing with stuff outside of this channel. But I'm back. Today I'm gonna be ranking every single episode of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But before I start, I just want to say thank you guys for the support we've been getting recently. Mainly this John Walker video, a lot of you like that, and a bunch of new subscribers are coming. We're only at 41, but hey, the number can only go up. It's down if some of you unsubscribe. But I just really want to say thank you to everyone that's been checking out these videos. And also, I just want to say thank you to SDUBnation for providing me the clips to make this video. His link is down in the description, but let's just get right into the video. Coming in at number 6 is episode number 1, New World Order. Now, this episode, it's not bad just because it's at the bottom. It just means all the other episodes are better than this. I just feel like this episode didn't really do a good job of getting people hooked on the show, kind of like the first episode of WandaVision. But I didn't really like the first episode of WandaVision, but people did get hooked more on that show than this. It was just kind of a slow burn, but I think it was a good reintroduction back to these characters and back into the MCU. But the episode has to go at number 6 because compared to the other episodes, this just does not offer as much. And it kind of feels like this episode didn't really have a lot of reason to get you to come back to the next episode, because these episodes are better when you can watch them back to back all in one go, kind of like just a big movie. And this is just kind of like if you were just to watch the first act of the movie. You get what I mean? Like, it introduces the characters again really well, and it just feels like it doesn't really feel like the pilot of the show. It's got everything you kind of miss from the MCU: the action, the dialogue, the characters, and the quality is a big step up from WandaVision in my opinion. But this episode just has to go with number 6 because it just does not have as much. Coming in at number 5 is episode 2, The StarSpangled Man. Now, this episode is a lot better than the first one, and it has one of my favorite Marvel openings with the marching band. This episode is more focused on introducing us to John Walker, the new Captain America, and really more introducing us to the dynamic of how Bucky and Sam are going to function in this show. And it's way better. The first episode, the show's called The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but the first episode had Falcon. The first episode had Winter Soldier, but the first episode didn't really have the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, you know? It didn't really have them being together. The second episode actually does have a lot of this, and we get a lot of stuff about John Walker. We get introduced to Carly in this episode, I'm pretty sure. And John Walker, she's one of my favorite characters in the show. Probably my favorite character. But this episode tells a better story than not really tells a better story, but it really continues on. We get a lot more action in this episode, which is really great. It's one of the pros about this show over WandaVision. The action is really good. It looks great. It looks better than most MCU action because it's a lot less shaky cam, more kind of one long takes. But this, I like how this really sets up the dynamic, how you have Falcon and Bucky working outside the law. Then you have John Walker and Battlestar kind of working in the law, kind of going against them, but they're all working for the same mission. This episode kind of tries to make Carly like an interesting character right off the bat, and it is kind of interesting, but you can really see how they kind of just throw away with that near the end of the show. This is a good episode. I really do like the stuff with John Walker, but also the stuff with Bucky and Sam. Some of the jokes in this are actually super funny, and actually made me laugh, and their dynamic is really what made you want to come back for the show. I mean, after all, that is the title of the show. One thing, this episode did kind of force that therapy scene at the end upon us, but it was funny in the end, and you did get some good moments out of the characters. The show kind of did spoon feed you that they were going to see Zemo in the next episode, which is fine, but I feel like they could have done a better job. They could have just said, alright, let's go get this information, and then you have it introduced to Zemo. You don't have to spoon-fed us with Sam saying, we're gonna go see Zemo. That just kind of felt weird. But this episode introduces Isaiah Bradley, he's a really great, interesting character, and his story is just really sad and tragic to see what really happened to Isaiah Bradley, even though you get clarity on that in the end of the show. It's just a real shock, and this episode in particular really shows that the MCU can handle mature topics like racism and whitewashing. So I think this episode's really good, but it isn't as great, but this is definitely one of the better ones. Coming in at number 4 is episode 3, Power Broker. I promise you guys I'm not going in order with these rankings from 1 to 6, but the show did keep getting better as it goes on. Power Broker is a great episode because it reintroduced us to Zemo, and Zemo's fantastic in this show. He's really great, he's lovable, he's charming. He's really was one of the best villains from Civil War, and I'm glad they couldn't see them redo him, retcon him a little bit, give him more of his comic background. And the idea that they have to free him to get their goals do align. You have Zemo, he hates the super soldiers. Bucky and Sam, they want to find out who makes the super soldiers, so their goals kind of do align. So they have to work on the other side of the law to help fight good, which is a really good topic in superhero shows and just really any show in general. The whole Mad for stuff is really great and actually very entertaining. I'm pretty sure everyone loves the ideas of just like criminal safe haven cities, just like crime filled streets. It's really good and it's very visually beautiful. Like it's a bunch of neon, kind of almost like a cyberpunkish looking city. We get them to they infiltrate, and then you have the cool moments with like Bucky, Zemo making Bucky become the Winter Soldier again. This episode is great because it's character modes. There is some action here and there. The action is good in this episode specifically because I think it was written by one of the John Wick writers. I know they had someone on the team from John Wick working this episode, so it's good. There's a lot of one-take shots. This action, it's just kind of it feels more grounded, more like the John Wick stuff. So it does feel kind of lame and stuff in the scopes of what we've seen previously in the MCU, but it is great because it's new and just really a new way of fighting. We don't really see a lot in MCU with their one-take style fighting. So that is a plus about this episode. This episode does have a bad thing about it, which not really this episode, but for the show in general. This episode is where Carly became more of a basic generic villain. Throughout the show up until this point, they were trying to make Carly seem like this sympathetic person, this revolutionary amongst the people that need her. Then the episode ends with her just blowing up a building full of people, and you're like, alright, she's the bad guy. And then the show tries really hard to make her seem like, well, this is a relatable person. The governments are bad for the world, but she really did just blow up a building full of people, and then you're supposed to sympathize with her, but you really can't because, yeah, it's sad that she's a little girl and she died for what she did, but she did these things. She killed innocent people who had nothing to do with her cause. So I think the show kind of failed in that aspect of making Carly a sympathetic villain. But the rest of the episode is good. Like I said, the Mad for stuff is really good. The dynamic between Sam, Bucky, and Sharon is really good to see them all reunite. Because they all really have a common friend in being Steve Rogers. And it's great to see how they all mingle with each other, and especially with Zemo thrown into the mix. So this episode's a really good episode. At number 3, I have episode 5, Truth. Now, this episode is really good because it takes a step back before the finale, and you really just get the moment, this whole episode, just like an hour, to really focus on these characters and building relationships. This episode has some of the best character building and just character moments that I've really seen in the entire MCU. You have the little bit of stuff going on with John Walker after just murdering a man in the previous episode, and it's just sad to see him stripped of everything that he's worked so hard to achieve because he did the job that the government told him to do, and now the government's stolen away from him. So you can really see his turn right there. But this episode, like I said, it takes back, and you just go back to the Wilson farm to continue the story with Sam and his sister Sarah, and it's really just a bunch of wholesome stuff, just showing this little community come together towards the common goal. And then when Bucky shows up, you just have the two of them just working together, actually just having a conversation about this legacy that Steve left behind. And it's really cool to just see this moment, and you can see that Sam training to become the Shield. Not training to become the Shield, trained to become Captain America. And he goes back to Isaiah Bradley, and that conversation is just heartbreaking. Isaiah Bradley was just imprisoned and tortured and just treated so unfairly for doing the same thing that Steve did in the first Captain America movie, and they treated him a hero. And it's just sad to see him treated that way, just like a lad rat because of the color of his skin, while Steve got treated like a hero. Everyone remembers that as Captain America saving all these men. It's just sad, but you can see the two different mindsets that they have, where Isaiah is just closed off and he's kind of hating the world, he doesn't care. But Sam is, on the other hand, like, well, what's the point of all that pain and suffering if I still can't stand up and try and do better? So that just really shows why Sam is going to be Captain America and why he deserves to be Captain America over someone like John Walker. All the characters in this are really good. This is some of the best character moments, like I said, in the MCU, with Sam, Bucky, John, even a little bit of Carly, even though you can't really feel sympathetic for her anymore. But she's a great character nevertheless. This episode is honestly one of the best episodes, and this is when I rewatch the show, this is one of the episodes I rewatched the most. Coming in at number 2 is episode 6, One World, One People. This was a great finale to a great show. This episode was so good. You dropped right into the action. Carly's attack on the city is being carried out, and then you have Sam on station. You got Bucky, Sharon, all the players are in key. You know John Walker's on his way. This episode is just filled with great action. It's just like you get dropped off in the action. It's just a non-stop action for 20 minutes. You get to see Sam full suit in his great, awesome Captain America uniform. This is really when he becomes Captain America. And you could see that going around. He's going around saving all these different people. Everyone's watching him. All the pedestrians are calling him Captain America. And you didn't really see that with John Walker being Captain America. Now, I like John Walker, but he was more as like a brute police force, like the right hand of America. While Sam is more the people's Captain America. You know, this is the Captain America that people really needed. And it's really good to see him, his whole thing with Carly, how he doesn't even want to fight Carly. And he's truly disturbed by her death, and he makes that beautiful speech to the senators. You have Bucky, on the other hand, who's going around doing his little Winter Soldier thing. You see him saving people, really struggling to hold off the Flag Smashers and save these people. You have Carly, which she's a good character, but in this episode, she's just full villain. Like, when she died, I didn't feel bad for her. Like, I don't think I felt what Marvel wanted me to feel with this. I just felt like, yeah, she had good ideas, but, I mean, it was like Zeno said, she became too radicalized and she had to be stopped. John Walker in this episode, this is where you see his kind of turning moment to where he kind of becomes a hero, anti-hero. You can see him just like mentally breaking down, but then when he's put to it the choice between saving people or getting revenge, he drops his fake impersonation shield and then he tries to save these people. I like that John isn't evil. Like, everyone thinks he's so evil, but he's not. And you kind of get that moment to maybe open up his path to redemption in later episodes or seasons, movies, whatever comes after this. And even after the action is all over, you get good, great character moments. Just see them ending off the show with a good spot. All the characters are just reconciling, happy. But this episode did reveal that Sharon Carter was the power broker. Now, I'm not really bothered by this. I'm just more confused about why it is, but that's kind of my personal opinion. You get set up for future things, mainly whatever they're going to do with John Walker, maybe Thunderbolt's his own show, or appearing in Captain America 4, which got announced. But episode 6, I think this was a way better finale and closing off to the show than WandaVision was, where WandaVision really had a lot of stuff open. This show closed off a lot more things, but also leaves a few things open for you to just kind of wonder where they're going with the show. Episode 6 is really good and one of my favorite episodes and just Marvel content of all time. Now, at the number 1 spot, my favorite episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier is episode 4, The Whole World is Watching. This episode really is the pinnacle of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. This is the episode that I feel people are going to remember the show for, if not the finale. This episode is just so filled to the brim with action and great character moments that you can't help but not love it. The main thing going on in this episode is the death of Battlestar and really everything that's going on with John Walker. While it is at the end, it is great. But you also have the whole side plot with Zemo, Wakanda, and Bucky, and how the Wakandans really feel betrayed by Bucky, and you can really see that in how they act and how they treat them. And it's good to know the context with the flashback of Bucky being freed from his Winter Soldier program. This episode really proposed the question of, like, who's really in the right here? Like, is it really right and fair for the Dora Milaje to have jurisdiction wherever they go? Like, imagine if it was John Walker who said, I have jurisdiction wherever I go. Like, people would hate him for that, but people think it's the Wakandans, so it's cool. This episode is just really good in like the questions it poses, like whether Wakanda's evil. Is John Walker evil for killing this man in cold blood? Well, he may be a terrorist that is not really a good guy. He was surrendering, so is the kill legal? I mean, not legal. Is the kill justified? You can really see fans split down the middle with whether John Walker is a hero, whether he's a villain, and it's good that they propose those questions. This episode may not have as much action, but the action that it does have is really good, and I feel like it makes up for that lack. The characters like in this episode are really good as always. This dynamic between Zemo, Sam, and Bucky is still funny, and it's really great proposing how Zemo, who's been on the other side of the Avengers, is proposing that, no, Kai's evil, you gotta kill her, man, and then Sam's still trying to hold out hope. So this episode is really great. This episode is just, it's so interesting, and it's really long too, and that is really filled to the brim. Then the cliffhanger it ends on, like, just waiting for that next episode after episode 4 was just like, dang, you couldn't get enough of it, and you just really wanted it here. Episode 4, I'm gonna say, like, this is just like, this is the best episode. I'm gonna say it. It's at my number 1. It's the best episode. This is, I think this single episode is better than any of the episodes in WandaVision, even though, like, a few of the WandaVision episodes were really good. When this episode came out, I mean, I was already a huge fan of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but this just made me just in love with the show. This episode told me that, yeah, this show is amazing. Everyone needs to watch this. Thank you all for watching my Falcon and the Winter Soldier episode ranking. It was kind of late, but like I said in the beginning, I have been busy. Don't worry, I will have more videos coming out later this week and just in the following. I'm going to try and upload more videos for you guys. Please comment down below your rankings of the episodes, or really you just liked it about the show, just anything. Just let me know down in the comments. Like this video if you did like it. But also be sure to subscribe. We're coming close to 50 subscribers, and that's a pretty big milestone for us. So just keep sharing the videos around, keep watching. That's the best thing you can do, just watch. But thank you guys for watching, like I said, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.